Welcome to this AWS talk about Media Intelligence Solutions. My name is Chris Kutan. I'm the head of Worldwide Business Development, Direct to Consumer here at AWS. And with me today is Michael Shields, General Manager of Advanced Advertising at TripleLift, a great partner of AWS. In this talk, we're going to discuss how to increase the lifetime value of media content while reducing costs with AWS machine learning services. So let's dive right in. Audio and video data is growing exponentially all around us. In the US alone, consumers have over 300 video services to choose from. Last year, or like the last 18 months or so, we saw Disney Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, and more launch and surpass their subscriber goals in record time. But it's not only these new and exciting and expanding platforms that drive the exponential demand for content. It's also like all those businesses who don't have media or video as their business, but use audio and media and video to drive their business, to advertise their business, to drive interest for their business, and so forth. All these dynamics definitely accelerated over the last 18 months or so, but already the time before. So, and it's really driving this exponential growth of audio and video overall. And as I already mentioned, more and more industries are relying on media for better engagement. So examples here are education. 92% of educators think that video increases the student satisfaction and also the learning experience. 84% think it's increasing the achievements of students. So it's really making an impact there. Obviously, again, most recently, it has been mandatory to offer education through video or audio. Then there's ad tech, where 86% of businesses are using video as a marketing tool, and it's working. 84% of people say that they have been convinced to buy a product or service by watching a brand's video. And I already mentioned media, but you see here also a statistic that shows that really it's exploding the amount of video that's being created, that's uploaded, and being consumed. A couple of overall trends there are as well notable, like consumer don't necessarily want to lean back and passively consume video, but they're expecting enhanced new experiences. They're expecting personalized experience. They're expecting additional information coming with the video. They're expecting interactivity opportunities, chat, potential e-commerce opportunities in the video that they can use when they consume the video. There's also really an expanded reach necessary for these videos. These videos or this content is being consumed globally, so there are a lot of regulations to be followed, but also the accessibility of the video is absolutely crucial for for example, for special needs groups, but also for language and so forth. The next one would be it's very important. It's very expensive to produce this content. It's often the most expensive item of these companies to produce these kind of to produce quality content. So customers and companies are looking into ways of monetizing, into new ways, innovative ways of monetizing content more effectively. So to sum it up, consumers expect more. And organizations really need to accelerate the innovation to differentiate themselves and maintain profitability. So let's go a little bit deeper there, because the way how this can be achieved is, for example, through machine learning. And organizations need machine learning solutions because creating and traditional media management, media creation, and media delivery workflows are having a couple of issues. They are like very manual and time consuming. They're subjective and error prone. When you're reviewing videos again and again for many, many hours, it could create errors. They're expensive, and they're really not scalable that well. And like machine learning can help with these issues. For example, it can help in lowering the cost by automating the very repetitive parts of this process, of review processes, for example, by, for example, pointing out where there might be issues in the video and then have them reviewed on, like have these areas reviewed specifically. Machine learning can help boost the user experience. Consumers, it's just really difficult to go into every piece of content that's being created, go deep into there and see what's in every frame, for example, there, like what objects are in there, what celebrities are in there, right? Machine learning can help to surface those and make the whole archives and the whole content more discoverable that way. Machine learning can also help with compliance and brand safety issues. Right? There are certain regulations across the globe, but also for brands individually, like they don't want to be associated with a specific content. There's obviously regulations to certain content not to be shown at certain times of the day or in general. So that's machine learning can help to identify issues there. And then it can drive revenues by using machine learning to find better areas, for example, to place ads and so forth. We're going to talk about that much more in this conversation. Quickly, walking through how AWS actually enables developers and users, potential users of machine learning, to use machine learning services through our AWS ML stack. Very high level, it's 3 layers, and each layer can be used by specific target groups here. For example, on the bottom layer, it's really for the deep experts, practitioners of machine learning that are comfortable with building their own models, training their own models, then deploying them and maintaining them. The middle layer is an integrated development environment, Amazon SageMaker, that really puts everything that you need to manage your machine learning pipelines and workflows behind one pane of glass. And then on the top layer, this is the API layer where you use these services by calling an API and getting results. Like, for example, with Vision, you bring in a piece of content, piece of video, you call an API, the recognition API, and you get which objects are in that content as a result back. Same for audio, use text extract, extract the kind of create a transcript of the content. So in this talk, we're really focusing around the AI layer. And I have also marked there, mainly around vision, recognition, speech, poly, and transcribe, and then on the text side, like comprehend and translate. And we are already outlined it a little bit, but we're looking into these 4 key use cases, search and discovery, subtitling and localization, compliance moderation, and content monetization. Want to also point out how you can use AWS Media Intelligence Solutions to solve these said use cases. And there's really 2 flexible approaches. On the one side, there's the Media Intelligence Partner Network. So this is for customers who want to leverage the deep expertise of our APM partners for media intelligence. These partners have a lot of experience building these kind of use cases that I just outlined, and I'm gonna name those partners in the following slides. And then on the other side, or in conjunction with the first approach, is our media solutions. These are for customers and partners who want to build integrated solution using frameworks, starter architectures and concepts designed by AWS, and then kind of built from there. So you can go either or you can obviously go in a combination there. So let's dive into these specific use cases. And as I already said, search and discovery is definitely a very big one, if not even the biggest use case there. And it's really using machine learning to help users easily find the content they want. So it's used for content classification, but also it's not just finding the video specifically, but also using audio transcription, for example, to generate subtitles, but then also to find where are certain statements made within a content. right? So enhance the search. It's used to faster generate highlights and previews of content. If I find the specific highlight faster, if I'm looking, if there was a news event happening and I want to go into my archive and find, all the highlights that, are related to this specific news event. If I don't use machine learning, that could be a very lengthy task, and I could potentially not be reacting to the news event fast enough. But also the metadata being generated here can be used for personalization, right? So you brings in a lot of a much richer understanding of what the content is. And if I relate that back to the viewer and how they're reacting to that specific content, I obviously can inform a personalization engine and kind of, create a bit of a flywheel of more and more tailored content personalization for the users. You see partners here that are really experts in using these services, and we're working very closely with to enable these workflows. And also you see the solutions that are relevant in this area. In order to bring that alive, I'm now switching over to a demo where I'm going to show you how this looks in real life. Okay, so here you see the demo. We uploaded a commercial here that is running. And on the left side, you see after running these services, you see the objects that have been identified. You see person, and did a lot of person in there. So you see a lot of red dots. So maybe take another one. So couch, for example, you see red dots identifying the areas in the video that have, like in this case, a couch on it. You also see a percentage there that indicates the confidence score that this is actually a couch. Other things here as well, sunglasses, headphones, and so forth. So these are all the objects that have been identified with a confidence score higher than 90%. You see celebrities is another API from the computer vision service. You see multiple celebrities here identified. Same concept of moderation. This is a commercial. There is no results, obviously, on the moderation side. Faces, words is interesting. You see basically all the words that are being identified on the screen. So let's say we go to Amazon, identified here on this Alexa device. Beside the vision results, you also can see the transcript here from the audio, translation, look for key phrases, and so forth. So I'm not going through all the details here, obviously, but you can imagine these are all inputs into like a potential search that actually, support then this search and discovery use case. Okay, after this, we go back to the presentation. Okay, so now that we saw that in action, let's go and talk through a couple of examples how customers have been using these technologies to optimize their workflows. So here, for example, you see NFL, who significantly improved the speed of their content search. You also see like a partner of ours, Synchronized, that are working with a key European customer, and they're saving 50% of the editorial time spent creating thumbnails. So that's like a specific use case, right? If you want to identify the right frames within a video that could be the most interesting to then use as a thumbnail, you can use these tools as well, right? Identify potential areas and then review it and use those as a thumbnail. You can even personalize the thumbnails that way. And then a partner of ours, PromoMe, who are reducing their promotion creation process from 2 days to 2 hours. Significant improvements in, like, again, analyzing the assets they're dealing with in order to generate promo material. The second use case is subtitling and localization. Improve the reach and accessibility of media content. This is really all around creating transcription and translation. So, using machine learning to transcribe the content, to make it accessible through like subtitling and so forth. And then also translating the content here in over 70 plus languages. And again, making that also accelerating that process of transcribing and translating the content. This is really important. There's a lot of content out there that's aging very fast. If you are having a news event, if you're having an event of like interest that's like very time sensitive, you just don't have the luxury to take very long time to create subtitles and then like having them translated. The quicker you can get these things out, but it's also not only news events. If you have like an educational piece, you want that thing out there as fast as possible so that you get also the return on investment on this asset. You obviously can reach a wide audience, by making it accessible, but also making it, translating it for new regions and so forth. And there's obviously also regulatory requirements for transcription and captions and so forth. Again, here you see two key partners that are working with these solutions, and also the solution that would help you to get the POC started or to get like experimentation going there. Here are a couple of customer examples, and you see that like one of our partners worked with a customer there with Allianz and reduced the subtitling, the costs of their subtitling production by 8 times. NASCAR used these kind of tools and reduced the costs by 97% when it comes to their subtitling workflows. And then you have also other partners that like making learning assets much more valuable and accessible overall. That has been, as already mentioned, in other verticals, especially in education, a lot of interest for these kind of tools. And then compliance and brand safety. So this is really to review media content against predefined or custom criteria to ensure compliance, and also other requirements like brand requirements and so forth. So again, you're using rich metadata to automatically identify inappropriate content in general, objective content, but also to, for example, check if like certain brands are placed properly, if the logos are placed at the right place, or also if the placement of the logos or the brands is objecting to any communicated rules by the brands, right? Also within the advertising, but also within generated content. So really using machine learning to automate that process, also using machine learning to automate the QC process overall, and again, save time and cost to do that as the volume of content is growing exponentially. Again, here's a couple of great partners we're working in this area with, and then the solution you could use to get started. Okay, and now to content monetization. So this is the 4th use case. I already outlined the first 3, and for this specific use case, I'm gonna hand it over to our partner TripleLift, and Michael is gonna walk you through the amazing experiences they're building for their viewers, for their customers, using the tools that I just outlined in the area of content monetization. Okay, Michael, take it away.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to everyone in the AWS audience. We're super excited to be able to showcase to you a variety of new ad products for television that we've developed in partnership with AWS. So today I'd like to introduce you to TripleLift and a variety of ad products that we're creating for the future of brand-supported television. So first of all, I'm Michael Shields. I'm the GM of Advanced Advertising, overseeing our efforts in developing new products for television. And before I tell you a little bit about those products, just an overview of TripleLift as a whole. So we are a late-stage venture-backed company. We've had tremendous growth in recent years. And TripleLift first entered the market to develop native advertising and really pioneered the marketplace for programmatic native advertising. We utilize a computer vision-based technology for peering into ads, breaking them down into components, and then building them back up into native environments across the open web. We have evolved that technology over the years to look at other lines of business and specifically create ad products for other forms of media. So we launched a business in branded video and then branded content. And then in 2019, started assessing the marketplace for connected television. And TripleList's focus is not on just enabling how advertisers can transact, how they can buy advertising, but really defining the what for any given media. And we're going to show you a variety of ad products that we're creating for the future of television. But first, a little bit of a why we're focused on this area. So, streaming has evolved tremendously over the last couple of years. 2020 was really a banner year for the evolution of the streaming wars, if you will. Pre to 2020, streaming was concentrated in a handful of large services. Major media companies, major television companies struggled to reach consumers through streaming applications, notably launching a variety of TV everywhere applications that required authentication. But in 2020, all of the majors regrouped. And we had, as Chris referred to, we saw the launch of services from Disney Plus to Peacock to HBO Max, all of which are in the tens of millions of subscribers now. And as of this recording, I believe Disney has just breached the 100 million barrier. And if you think about like what this means for consumers, right? I think that the average number now is consumers are subscribers to 4 different services, but they're also having a lean back experience around television content in new areas of streaming, including on free ad supported television services like Pluto TV and Tubi and others that have spurred a lot of M&A activity in television in the last couple of years. So the industry is going through a major change. And the 8 minutes per half hour of television advertising that was persistent across television networks of the past and traditional linear environments, that 8 minutes per half hour is not going to be tolerated by consumers, right? Who are increasingly gravitating towards SVOD platforms where there's very little advertising opportunity for brands, or AVOD platforms with significantly lower commercial loads. So Triple-F's ad experiences are aimed at responding to this trend in consumer behaviors and really providing a solution for the future of brand-supported television. And indeed, our solution is focused on not what's in break, not what's in commercial breaks, but what actually occurs in show, and attempting to automate integrated ad experiences in show. Indeed, this is already happening across a lot of major services, but in a pre-production and unscalable way. So you may or may not know that services like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime have a lot of brands in the programming that they bring to market. Indeed, the market for product placement in television advertising in television shows is already an $11.4 billion market, and that's within the $100 billion global market for television advertising as a whole. But there's no automation, there's no technology for that existing product placement marketplace. So we're going to show you a variety of tools that we've created to develop integrated ad experiences at scale based on a series of different Amazon technologies, several of which Chris just referred to. The different products that we're bringing to market include, yes, standard CTV spots or standard commercial breaks, but those commercial breaks paired with integrated experiences that appear in the show. So we utilize the traditional lower third space used for promotion to offer contextually relevant dynamic overlays. We trigger experiences, what we call the in-action 6 or split screen ad units at lulls in the action or natural breaks in programming that appear in show. And then we render a variety of 2D and 3D assets in post-production to superimpose elements of product placement without any requirements of the show producer. So without any kind of pre-production concerns. And we deliver each of these experiences dynamically. So just as you would expect in streaming environments with standard commercials to receive a different commercial, a different message from an advertiser based on who you are as a user, we're now delivering these different integrated experiences based on the profile from the audience, leveraging traditional programmatic advertising technology. And I'll give you a quick view of what these experiences look like. So first, if you're a sports fan, you've seen the in-action 6 or split screen unit proliferated across sports, but the process for launching these units in sports is still very manual. Oftentimes there's an individual in a mobile production truck that's actually triggering the experience and sending a note to the commentator. With the help of Amazon machine learning technologies, we're doing the analysis of the video, looking at a variety of elements, including doing speech to text, doing natural language processing on the closed captions, all with a view towards finding the right moments to trigger these experiences. So we can actually find that player substitution or pitching change. We can find a natural break in the action that's relevant for triggering these types of ad experiences. We utilize the same machine learning tools to find the right moment in the context of a particular show to utilize this lower third space traditionally used for promotion, but now to launch contextually relevant advertising, right? So we can trigger these dynamic overlays at the right moment, not interfering with the narrative of the show and providing a contextually relevant moment for bringing an advertiser into the show. I mentioned before that we're also utilizing computer vision to find images and to locate particular surfaces where we can render 2D and 3D assets from an advertiser in post-production. So this is a much more scalable way of doing product placement. If you think about some of the concerns that advertisers have had to meet in doing product placement in the past, it's very difficult to get physical product on set. It's very difficult for an advertiser's marketing budget to align against the production schedule for the show, right? But by rendering these 2D and 3D assets where we've located particular surfaces, right, we don't require any additional resources of the show producers, right? And we can deliver these dynamically with impression level tracking. So different audience members see different experiences, a much more scalable, much more efficient way to do product placement. To do this correctly, we actually use a variety of Amazon technologies. And there are really four key elements to our solution. One is the video analysis. So I mentioned before some of the tools that we're using. We're utilizing computer vision-based video analysis to recognize images and to recognize surfaces, both on the background of a shot, to do things like replacing a billboard in the background of the shot. We're also doing speech to text so that we can translate all of the spoken words in a show into text that we then do further analysis on. We do natural language processing on both that transcribed text utilizing tools like Amazon Transcribe and then Amazon Comprehend for doing natural language processing on that and on the closed captions. We combine all of these different methods of machine learning analysis to do what we call total scene analysis. So this is an attempt to replace with artificial intelligence the very high touch integrated marketing function of pre-production product placement, finding the right moment to trigger these ad experiences in show. We've also invested in a variety of tools to have the right assets from advertisers. Advertisers actually don't have a lot of the right 2D and 3D assets that they need to do this sort of thing at scale. And TripleIF now has assets in our system from 100% of the Ad Age top 100 advertisers. We leverage other AWS technologies, notably AWS Elemental, where we integrate with playout and server-side ad insertion systems so that we can leverage the existing ad infrastructure for delivering these experiences. For those of you that are familiar with online advertising, we deliver all of these experiences as simple, vast responses. So the 6 or 8 or 10 or 20 seconds of edited video that we've made to insert a product into a show, we return that as a vast response and stitch it together to the content stream utilizing tools like Amazon's Media Tailor. And then the fourth piece has nothing to do with technology, but we've led our business development effort by engaging Hollywood studios, production companies directly to make sure that even down to the showrunner, that we have their buy-in for the consumer experience that we're offering. And now I'll give you a piece-by-piece, slightly deeper dive into the technology. So I mentioned part of our machine learning tools is utilizing computer vision that looks for surfaces and analyzes for images, all with a view towards where we can do the rendering of 2D and 3D assets, product placement in post-production. All of these experiences I mentioned before are rendered dynamically. So we utilize the same space for rendering multiple brands. And again, this doesn't require any additional resources of the show producers. I'll show you some work we were doing with NBC Universal that really showcases the programmatic technology. So once we've identified a given place for a brand to come in. We can then rotate different brands based on the audience profile of who's watching the show. And again, we're doing this machine learning to find the right moment to insert things like that in an action 6 that you just saw, right? So again, this was a very manual process in sports, but our machine learning based technology can find things like a closing credit sequence so that we can standardize the rendering of some advertising experiences like the in-action 6 or dynamic overlays. We know what's going on in a particular scene. We can analyze mood and tone so that we can match the right advertiser at the right moment. And again, based on what's actually being said on the screen. And of course, we can utilize some of the tools that Chris introduced before for finding brand safe moments, right? So that we know the right contextually relevant moment for rendering an advertiser. But we also make sure that they're coming in at the right place. So we utilize these machine learning tools, not just for finding the right moment to include brands into a particular shot, but also to exclude them from these moments. And this is a key concern for the advertising industry. So, we recognize moments that of potential violence, or if we can actually take requirements from a show producer. So for instance, if there's like a alcoholic character in a show, right, we wouldn't want to make the render any alcohol brands, right? So we can take those exclusions. We can also take exclusions for where existing talent has endorsements to make sure that advertisers from that particular category don't flow into the show. And as a result, we are really uniquely in a position to engage publishers about what the future consumer experience should be for television. So we know that consumers are requiring lower ad loads. But when we go to publishers, we're not just talking to them about how they can use data or targeting to enhance the value of their existing advertising inventory. We're really talking to them about how they can provide a better consumer experience. So if they can go from 3 ads in a break to 2 or 1, but replace it with integrated advertising experiences in the show. We're giving more opportunities for marketers to engage audiences. We're providing a better consumer experience with lower ad loads, and we're helping to drive yield for publishers. So it's really a total solution for the future of brand supported television. And I'll show you what that future is going to look like. So here's some work that we're doing with our partners at Warner Media, and specifically a show, Tacoma FD, where we rendered some of our ad experiences. So, you might start off a show in the opening sequence by seeing a sponsored split screen ad. Then as you move into the show, we again find all the opportunities to insert 2D and 3D assets in post-production. So we start to have a variety of brand integrations into the show. They're all dynamically served and impression level tracked. Then we find the contextually relevant moment for offering something like a dynamic overlay. And of course, this applies to the key use case that allows us to then lower the ad loads across the entire stream, right? So we have fewer standard commercials, but we have a variety of these integrated experiences, again, rendering 2D and 3D assets in post-production without any additional resources of the show. And it really opens up the windows for marketers to get involved, right? Because now they don't have to have physical product on set. They don't have to fit within the production schedule. And you see over the course of the stream that this creates a variety of new advertising experiences. So here we are having far fewer commercials and providing a better consumer experience. And yet we're allowing partners like Warner Media and other streaming services to increase their monetization opportunities across the show as a whole, right? And through the closing sequence, where again, utilize machine learning tools to find things like the credits in the show and then trigger the last ad experience. So you really get a sense of what the future of brand supported television is going to look like. I mentioned before that we utilize tools like Amazon Media Tailor as well. So within the Elemental suite, we leverage existing ad infrastructure and specifically server-side ad insertion framework so that we return each of the 6 or 8 or 10 or 20 seconds of edited video, right, as a VAST response, and then we stitch it together with the content stream so that different users see different experiences, but advertisers are given all of the same level of targeting and reporting that they would expect with standard commercial breaks. Here's a view of our product as a whole and all of the different touch points that we have with Amazon technology. So first, we actually receive shows up front from television companies so that we can do our video analysis. And oftentimes they're giving us that content securely through tools like Amazon S3 buckets. Then we've used a variety of these machine learning tools that Chris referred to earlier, including recognition, SageMaker, comprehend, and transcribe to do that total scene analysis so that we can replace with artificial intelligence, that high touch integrated marketing function. We're utilizing, oftentimes partners are using tools like Amazon Elemental for their playout system. And we actually set new markers in the manifest associated with a show with a video file for our specific triple lift markers so that it can call out to us and trigger the ad experience. And then, as I mentioned, we're stitching together that ad with the existing content stream utilizing tools like AWS Media Tailor. So Amazon's really been a key partner to us in the development of this product line. And we're looking forward to increasingly aligning with them on go-to-market as we build the product further. Early efforts have really helped to reinforce our product development effort, right? So some of the early campaigns are showing that consumers prefer this experience, that they have a positive shift in brand perception associated with the show. I might say that across the campaigns that we've run, we've seen a 46% positive shift in brand perception against only a 2% negative shift. Which is rarely seen in advertising. So really, I think consumers are choosing this as a future model. And of course, it's working to drive marketing outcomes and upper funnel marketing metrics for advertisers, including significant double-digit increases in things like brand recall, brand awareness, and preference, right? So we really think that we've cracked the code here for the future of brand-supported television. We again thank our partners, Amazon, for the suite of tools that have helped us to build this product and for the opportunity to engage the AWS audience. So thank you for attending.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. It's really fascinating what you guys are building there, and really interested how you help customers monetize the content better and using machine learning to do so. So thanks a lot. Okay, and I'm just going to spend another minute or so to give you some pointers on how to get started with all these things we have been talking about through the last half an hour or so. Here, again, you see the technology partners that we are working with that are really deep specialists on those workloads. You see consulting partners that can help you build workflows that are like very tailored for your need. And you also can see the solutions and open files or like open source frameworks that you can use to get started. You also have the location where you can find all that information on our website. So hope that makes it easy for you to get started and also to find the right partners for your workload. Yeah, and that was it. Again, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I hope this was interesting. And yeah, wanted to thank you and wish you a great rest of your day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.